Fam, how is everyone doing tonight? Oh, look at me, hey, Fleeky. um Happy Monday, fellow humans. How's everyone doing? You are first. What's that? Gazija, welcome to the channel. Good job on being first today. Congratulations, you made it. If you're not first, you're last. Everyone else, you're last, including myself. But we are on time. Absolutely, Justin. We're on time, crew. Always on time. What's up, Coach Show? How are you doing today? Yes, YGBSM, hello. We'll talk about that a little bit tonight as well. Changes in pipelines. It does feel like it's been forever. It really does. It feels like it's been incredibly long, especially since I actually took Friday and Monday off. So I've been doing a lot of things, so it feels like it's been forever. What's that? Mikachu 22. As a Pokemon fan, it's just right here, Thank you for the host. I appreciate it. What's up, Triquetta? How you doing, Sin City? How you doing, Slime? How you doing, Simplex? Well, RIP pipelines? Only partially, and only for a little while. Yes, RIP pipelines. I'm sorry about that. There's a number of reasons why that's happened. It's not dead. It's just postponed just a little bit. This is Solar Winds, I believe. Pretty sure this is Solar Winds. I think Solar. I don't actually know what Solar Winds do. I think they're the people who make Paper Trail. I think it's like a monitoring platform, maybe. We'll figure it out. But yeah, that's who it is. But yeah, pipelines had to postpone it just a little bit. I think we're gonna kick it back off. I think we're gonna change a bit about it, and then we're gonna kick it off right after these are done. One Saturday, yes, it is being refactored. One of the problems is that Saturdays, something has come up to where now all of my Saturdays for the next I think 6 weeks are taken up. This upcoming Saturday is the second event, which is a live coders conf. Live coders conf is all day on Saturday, and I do have a speaking spot that would fall right in line with this time, but that was not really a part of the decision. I was just going to move up the stream for that day to an earlier time, but I have I've worked out something that's going to help not only push forward kind of the reach and the things that we're doing here. I'll share a little bit more about it when I can, but it is all in support of this. It's going to allow us to do some cooler things. So we'll put out some information on whether or not pipelines will be in the same place, same date and time. I know that some people said they really liked having something on the weekend, but we'll put out some votes and stuff, and we'll figure out what time is best for pipelines to happen again, whether or not we want to move it back into the week while we're in the interim of the other courses, but we'll figure it out. It is not gone. I promise you it's not gone. Appreciate you for the Twitch Prime sub, Slime. Thank you so much. Good to have you. Thanks for sticking around for 2 months. I do appreciate it. MGene, all good. All good. Also, your both MGene and Aya, your stuff has been mailed out. Finally, both of them will be there tomorrow. First off, if I had looked at Aya's address, I would have just stuck it in your mailbox. But I didn't look at your address until I was like giving it to the person at FedEx. So you'll have it. I'm sorry it took so long. I am also late, but I've been taking the day. I took Friday and I took today, and I'm caught up on so much. Finally, just trying to really get myself together. Hopefully I can hold on to this until around the September time frame. Again, I'm gonna give you guys an exact date when I won't be, I'm not gonna say burdened, but I am still working full time, which will change likely, not likely, it will change before October, but after September. So we'll figure out a exact date, and I'll announce the exact date as soon as I actually let make sure that everyone knows. But everyone knows that I'm leaving around that time frame. And then I'll have time to actually stay up with stuff and to do all the stuff that I really am trying to do on here. But cool. What's up, Zosam? Thank you so much again for the sub. Appreciate you. How you doing today? Today we are talking about a great subject. We are going to be talking about how the internet works. Basically, we're going to be learning about how the internet works. At the internet as you know it, not really how it works on the the nitty-gritty networking level, but we're going to be learning a little bit about how that works with DNS and Route 53. So anyone new, this is Horizons. This is an introduction to cloud computing with AWS, a journey into cloud computing with AWS, and we're running through some of the major services. This course is designed for people, just wanting to dip their toes into the AWS world, into the cloud computing world, as well as take the certified cloud practitioner exam. This goes a little bit above the cloud practitioner exam, but it covers the things that are on it. So are you open to one-on-one tutoring? At that time, I will consider it for a while. I'm sure there'll be a time when that's not possible, but I am considering it for kind of the initial jump into full-time entrepreneurship, full-time business owner. It is certainly something that I am considering. I had something else for you all, but I don't remember, so I will I'll get it then. Uncle Bill, welcome. I also saw the whisper you sent me, Uncle Bill. I also didn't realize how many whispers I had been sent, so I've seen them now. I'm getting there. Like I said, I caught up on a lot, didn't catch up all the way, but I'll be responding to a lot of those things as well. Man, I showed you guys a little tidbit of all the little bubbles and messages and stuff, lots of emails and stuff. I couldn't do that all day because I had some other things to do as well, but I went for a nice 20-mile bike ride this morning. It was the perfect way to start my day. So I'm kind of changing up my flow a little bit because that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm actually going to spend I'm going to be doing my best to spend every day that's reasonable. Really, if there's no lightning and there's not a blizzard, I'm going to do my best to once I'm into full-time entrepreneurship, I'm actually working on only bike commuting for that amount of time. I'm about 6 miles away from the job, or away from my office, and I can work here, but I get a little more work done there. I have some space there. So I don't know, I'm kind of working to get myself worked up. Hype train incoming. Woo, whoop whoop. Thank you, everyone. I really do appreciate it. This is great. I really do appreciate you. And anonymous cheer, thank you for cheering anonymously. Thank you for the 100 bits. I really do appreciate it. Yes. A lot of people have sent me whispers, and the problem is the whispers, I don't usually log into Twitch. I'm not usually looking at the main Twitch stuff. I go in there to do 1 or 2 things, and then I do everything else from OBS, and it does not have those whispers in there, and that's the reason I don't see those things. But yeah, not eco-friendly. It's more of a discipline thing, to be 100% honest. More of a getting myself on a schedule, getting myself into a routine. And I'll let you know how it goes. Before we went on all this, I had got myself into a pretty serious routine, and it was really helping me. It was helping a ton, and I've kind of fallen off of that a little bit. So yeah, it's going to be part of my routine. Also, it's going to be part again of building discipline for a year, in a few different ways. There's some other ways I'm going to be doing it too, but I'm actually going to make a video about it, about all the things that I plan on, that I'm going to be working on and working towards when that time comes. Okay. So tonight, let's do this. Let's get out those slides. I think the slide link, they should have dropped at 6, I believe. I think this week I did what I was supposed to do because I had a little bit of extra time. Let's switch over to the Academy view, and yeah, I looked up SolarWinds to see if it was a monitoring software. I've never actually used SolarWinds itself, but I think they have something called, I think they purchased a company called Papertrail, which is, it seems like they have a lot of stuff. It seems like they're a little bit like Atlassian, and it's probably in here somewhere. But we use Papertrail to kind of aggregate some of our things a while ago when we didn't need a bunch of crazy stuff. Congrats, Mikachu. Oh, congratulations. Oh, wow. I wish I had some type of, so I have this, I have this fancy, the little fancy button here that does all the stuff. It has some spot for some, different buttons I can press to make cool things happen. Congratulations. That is a pretty amazing thing. Everyone clap it up for Mikachu. Thank you also for the host, but congratulations. We are proud of you. Let us know if you need any help navigating the industry. You know, if you want to just say hello and kind of meet new people so that you can figure out what you want to do, where you want to go. You might already have it all figured out, but if not, we got your back. We'll help take care of you. But that's pretty dope. I'm also happy for you to just be done. I don't want to say despise. I don't despise. I love learning. I don't really like school. I don't really like the structure of school. So it's always, I think it presents a level of stress, and I'm glad that you are done with that and that you don't have to deal with that right now. But yeah, seriously, reach. Hey, it takes what it takes. You should be proud of yourself for sticking with it that long. You're very much done. Awesome. Seriously, reach out to the community. If anyone can provide support, anyone can provide guidance, please do so. I've seen a lot of great posts about people hiring, about direction. So yeah, if you want to reach out and talk about it, we can help you on your way. 8 years school, another Phil. Yeah, I agree. Yes. It's a journey. Everyone has their own journey. All right, so let's go over to Drive. Tonight's going to be another short night. I think, did we have a short night last week for this? I think we had a short night here. Oh no, we had a short night in Decoded. So they were fortunate enough to get out early last week. I think tonight, I really do think tonight we'll get out early. I said it last time and it worked. So I didn't curse myself. As I usually do. We said we would get out early and we got out early, maybe half an hour early. Tonight, I think will be the same. The concept itself is an important one. We're going to go through and actually use it. We're going to set up some things with it. But again, it is fairly straightforward. You don't need to be an expert at DNS when we're done with this. No one really is an expert at DNS, so it should be pretty fun. But let me go ahead and do this. 30-minute presentation that goes into creation of cloud.gov. I will check that out. Is those the people who spoke in the morning YGBSM? I'll definitely check that out because I'm pretty interested into knowing about the creation of cloud.gov. I'm also wondering how what the security process is of vetting different services in the cloud.gov, because I don't know, maybe I need to learn more about security as a whole, because there's some interesting caveats that I've seen applied to some services, not others, that confuse me. But yeah, let's do this. I know last time this changed and I forgot that fast. Okay, get link, change link to anyone with a link. There we go. And copy the link. And you already did it for me. Perfect. But I think sometime, oh, that's for Slack. Never mind. Let's share this out really quick. There we go. So if you need the link, you're not in the Google Classroom, check that out. But I'll definitely bookmark that. I'm really interested in all the cool things being done in the government, to be honest. Because again, they're, as someone who supports the government, they're slow. They're behind. They're not well informed on the things that are going on, and they're working handicapped a little bit. There's a lot of red tape to be able to get things done. So I'm always interested in innovation within the government, to be honest. They maximize the size and platform, minimize the app choose. Okay. Oh, that's dope. I'll definitely check that out. Yes, the Discord server is pretty dead. That's 100% my fault. I take full responsibility for that. Again, something that I have on the docket to figure out how to make proper. It's something that people told me I should get a Discord server, and people were asking for it, so I did it, and that's all I did. And that is my, that's not what gets the Discord server popping. Slack is still kicking pretty well. I also really do intend on I think I have some really good ideas about how to keep people engaged and to kind of foster a lot of thought and a lot of discussion on there as well. So yeah, we will we'll get there. I promise you we'll get there. From everyone who's been here since real early on, we've made tons of progress here. Okay, there's a lot. We still have a long way to go, but we've made tons of progress. We'll get there eventually, but we'll get there as soon as I'm not working 10 hours a day on other things. We'll get there. I promise you. We're gonna get a countdown on here soon to that day, so that we're a little bit excited. What's up, Aya? you probably weren't here when I let you know that your Google Nest Mini will be there tomorrow. I think that's what it's called now. I don't think it's at home, but it'll be there tomorrow. And I told everyone that if I had looked at your address before I took it to FedEx, I would have just put it in your mailbox, to be 100% honest. You're very close to me, very close. I would have just did that, but you know, it should be there by end of day tomorrow. I'm sorry about the delay, but you should have it. But tonight is DNS with Route 53. Be the master of your domain. You know, all the discussion, you know, with the word master right now, maybe we'll switch that to not master and to be, you know, something like champion. That's what I changed it to in the email message out. But yes, you'll understand why we're saying that later, because this is your domain. So we're going to talk about DNS. We're going to learn about what DNS is, but what we're really talking about tonight is how does the internet work as we know it? How does it work as we know it? There is one more Google Mini left. It's supposed to go to someone from Pipelines, but because there's no more pipelines, it's free. It's fair game. So there is one left. Okay, so DNS, real simple. It stands for, it is an acronym for Domain Name System. Okay, that, you know, we're done. We learned what DNS was, and now we can go home. But it is the internet's proverbial phone book. So I don't know what your age ranges are on here, but there used to be a thing where you know, you didn't have cell phones for one, or very few people had cell phones, and you had a had a landline, and you had to memorize people's number in your head. For a while, there were 7 digits, and you know, they upped them to 10 with area codes because they ran out of numbers. But when you wanted to find out how to call, you know, today, T-Mobile, Verizon, everyone's phone wasn't working, and if you wanted to call Verizon or T-Mobile, your local store, to find out what was going on, you have to flip open that phone book, you have to look inside of it, and you have to go to the V's and the telecom area, and you say, all right, Verizon, I'm going to dial your number here, and I'm going to punch it into my landline corded phone. You know, you got to stay next to the wall, you know, that has the phone, because it's on a cord. And you know, there were cordless phones, but most people, you know, for a long time had corded phones. And then you know, and then you call them, and that's how you will find out the number. This is DNS is basically that same lookup system, but for websites. All right, so phone book, you might ask. Web browsers interact through internet protocol addresses, so IP addresses. You've likely heard of IP addresses. We've talked about IP addresses before. We've seen them with our EC2 instances when we're trying to get to them. And this, again, this is the location that you can find a networked resource over a network connection. It's the address. It is the location of it. And IP addresses is how the, you know, web browsers actually interact with different websites. But so that you, as a person, you know, humans, we're interesting beings, you know, we're pretty intelligent, but you know, some things like numbers are difficult for us. And you know, we have phone numbers, great, and this will probably work for websites too, but it's not very practical, to be honest. So we like to use domain names, which, you know, are nice and beautiful, and you know, they define a brand. But it translates. What we basically need to do is translate that domain that we have, translate that beautiful word, that well put together word, domain name, into an IP address. So whenever you type in whatever website, you know, maybe you like to see video game reviews, so you go to IGN.com, but your computer doesn't really care about IGN.com. It does not care about those letters. What it cares about is the IP address that IGN.com is serving information from, and DNS is how it goes to find out what that IP address is. All right, so you're halfway there. I mean, now we know already what DNS is. It's what translates. You know, it's the phone book. It's a proverbial phone book for the internet. It translates that beautiful name that you see, that name that you can recognize, you know, google.com, into the IP address that it lives at, that is being served from, so that your computer knows where to go. And that is DNS. That's now you know what DNS is, so you can, you know, that's all you need to know for an interview. If someone asks you, you know, well, not all you need to know for an interview, but it's a good conversation. You can have a lot of conversation just about that and sound very, very smart, because you are smart. No one knows this. People don't know this, you know, a lot of people don't. So if there's a mapping, if it's the lookup, how are these things looked up? What is telling DNS where to go for a certain website? And those things are DNS records. All right, so there are a bunch of different DNS records, and I sent you a resource as a part of in the classroom today. But there are a number of different ones. We're going to go over a couple of the more popular ones, and just kind of talk about what they are and kind of what they do. And now, these things will not be asked on the exam, on the cloud practitioner exam. Specific DNS questions will not be asked on any of the exams. Questions about Route 53 will be asked, and we'll get there to what that is. But we're still just talking about DNS, the service of DNS, domain name service, right now. So, don't stress yourself about these things, but it's good information to know. So A records is the first kind of main record, and it's called a host record. And then you see over here, I have IPv4 in parentheses. This is the record that says, hey, when you go to google.com, go ahead and, go to 8.8.8.8. That is where google.com is being served from. That's not true. But that's just an example right there. And it is the most common record type for now. Yes, the most common record type. And this also works for things like subdomains. So you see here how it says google.com. If we wanted to know where www.google.com went, we'd also have an A record for that. Or for fun.google.com or whatever is before the google.com, we could set up a different record. Now, it doesn't need to be an A record, but again, these are just the kind of standard records that map a domain to an IP address. So, most common record type. Now, we move on right now to quadruple A records, quad A records. These are a little bit newer. And so what these are, we're going to go back to see the IPv4 thing, but notice this also says these are host records. And this says IPv6. And it says it maps google.com to this thing. Oops, which is in fact an IP address, but it is not an IPv4 address. It's not it's not Internet Protocol version 4. It's Internet Protocol version 6. The same way that we ran out of phone numbers, and so we needed to add on, those area codes to make numbers, longer and be able to divvy up more phone numbers. The same thing is happening with IP addresses. And so those numbers, which can consist of 4 different sets of octets, there's a limited number of IP addresses that can exist. And so because of that, when those are gone, they're gone. And then with the boom of the internet and everyone's got a website and all these connected devices and all this other stuff, we needed a better way. And IPv6 is the next generation of internet protocol, is the next is 2 versions up of internet protocol. So this is just what an IPv6 address looks like. Much longer, you see. It's also got letters in it. Before it only had numbers in it. And there are many more spaces where we consider to be octets. There are more of those, but it's just like an A record, but it's for IPv6 mappings. Now, your web server and your site has to be set up to be able to, to do this, but it's a pretty simple thing. It's becoming more and more standard. There will become a time when this is the way, basically, where AAA records or quad A records, actually not triple, will probably will become the main record, as opposed, when we stop using, we'll probably stop using IPv4 as much, but it's an option right now. They're being used in tandem. But again, just like A records, single A records, but for IPv6 mappings instead of IPv4 mappings. IPv6 question for later. In Route 53, should we enable both IPv6 as well? That's a great question. As IPv4, good question. When we get there, definitely don't forget to ask that again. I'll try to remember, because we are going to go into Route 53 and set some stuff up. CNAME records. Move on to the next one. CNAMEs. These are canonical names. And this maps a website, specifically a subdomain. Notice how in the other ones I had google.com and now I have www.google.com. That's important. But it maps it to another domain. So it's an alias record. It's an alias record. So, www.google.com. When I type in public figure 02 or whatever, that's where it's actually going to go to get the information, which is then probably mapped somewhere else. But again, it's a way to set up an alias. So when I go to google.com, it can go to public.02.fun.com instead. Even though it looks like I'm going to google.com, it's getting its well, you are going to google.com, but you are getting your information from wherever the server is. And so it's just a way to set up an alias for your stuff. CNAME records are domain name aliases. Pretty fairly simple. CNAMEs can get interesting. We will get back into that. We'll talk about why they're interesting. One of the reasons is, again, because of that www there at the front, and its use with subdomains. Confused about what IPv6 is. So yeah, IPv6 really is just, it's a longer, it's a different protocol for for finding things over a network that gives us more addresses. So basically, again, we're basically running out of IPv4 addresses because there's a limited amount, and so IPv6 is a new format which gives us many more combinations of addresses, so that now we have them. So it's just, again, it's a newer protocol that enables us to have way more IP addresses available to divide up amongst the world. And this is what websites do with slightly misspelled versions of their DNS. That's an excellent question. Sometimes yes. A lot of the times what that is yes, actually, yes. Sometimes there's just a simple redirect instead of a CNAME. And we can talk about that stuff as well too. I think that's all good to go in here as well. But yeah, sometimes those are simple redirects instead. Usually they've purchased that misspelled name domain, and they'll put in an HTTP redirect, and an internet redirect basically to proxy traffic over to or redirect traffic over to the new place. I have seen people do it with CNAMEs. The problem with CNAME, if you were to do that with CNAMEs, if Google was to purchase Goggle just with one O and they set up a CNAME, what would happen is when you went to Goggle, you'd stay on Goggle. You get Google's information, but your domain up at the top would still say Goggle. I've seen people do this. I don't know why. So it's not the ideal way to do it. That's the only reason. I was going to say, I would have told you absolutely not, unless I had seen people do it, and I have seen people do it. But it'll remain to say Goggle up at the top, even though it's taking you to Google servers. So really interesting. Like a proxy, yes. Yes. It's kind of like a proxy. In short, instead of just numbers, they made an IP address alphanumeric. Yeah, yep, exactly. Yeah, for the amount of things it can carry, if the IP addresses are what it can carry, yeah, 100%. So the next one, so we talked about A records, which is a simple host record, which maps, again, what it was, the A record map, it maps a domain name to an IP address, specifically an IPv4 address. It's the most common one, but we get quad A records, and again, that maps, it does the same mapping, a domain name to an IP address, but it maps it to an IPv6 address. And then CNAMEs is really just a domain name alias. So if you want to, give your domain an alias and point it to, instead of pointing it to another IP address, point it to another domain name, you can in fact do that. And then we have MX records. So MX records are mail exchange records, and if anyone has ever managed mail, you'll know how finicky mail is. And also, if you are, again, this is just showing my age. This is always why I tell people I'm 30 in the beginning, because we've got Blue's Clues over here on the right, and it's mail time. It's mail time. What was his name? Steve? Is that his name? Steve or Billy? No, it's Steve. Steve from Blue's Clues. I'm gonna go with that, but it's mail time. Yeah, see, I remember some things. But these allow you to set up records which allow computers to find out where to send mail for different domains. So if you've ever sent mail to me at mastermind.io, or if you purchase a domain, you will have to set up these records. If you've ever used like Google for Business or something, and you try to tie an external service to your new domain, They probably made you go do some type of domain verification as well as DNS changes, and so these records look a little different. They're still Google Doc. It's still mapping a domain to really kind of like a CNAME to like another domain over here. But again, these are specifically mail server domains, and typically there will be more than one of these records. Typically there will be a couple of these records, because you can set a priority. You can actually set a number priority. So the lower the number, the higher the priority. So you know, generally you'll see something like a something that's a priority 1, something that's like a priority 5, 10, 20, and so on. You'll have a couple of them. Maybe you'll have ASPMX, and maybe you'll have the second one, maybe it'll be ASPMX1, and then maybe you have ASPMX2 and 3 and 4, just as different places that mail can be accepted at. Mail is super finicky. Mail is really weird. It's really annoying, to be 100% honest. And then I want to say this is the last one. This is the last one we're gonna talk about, and this slide shouldn't be in here. But NS records. This is the last record type we're gonna talk about tonight. There are many more records, but NS records. These are records that sets the servers that are responsible for the DNS information. So DNS is a distributed it's a distributed system, and so there's no single source of truth DNS provider. Basically what happens is you know, when you purchase a domain, you set these NS records. They're probably set for you by default. You know, if you purchase from GoDaddy, they'll automatically set their own name servers by default. But there needs to be a DNS server that's kind of the authority on where on the data that's, you know, going to be coming from your domain, and you can change that server. If I want my name servers to be somewhere else, I can move my name servers anywhere. You can run your own DNS server. DNS is just it runs as a service, you know, on a server. It's a very interesting thing. It's, you know, not crazy easy to do, but you can do that. But name servers just allow you to set up the servers that are responsible for providing DNS information. And generally you'll have multiple of these. You'll have more than one of these as well. Just Machine, thank you so much for the host. I do appreciate it. Okay, that is all the records. That's all the records. And let's delete this slide because it's not supposed to be here. Wait, did I delete too much? No. All right. Before we get into DNS tools, what I do want to show you is how many other ones there actually are. Oh yeah, we're making really good time. Amazing time. We're gonna get out so early and have a lot of fun. No, not practice. The cheat sheet here. I'm back at it again with another cheat sheet. If you go into here and that's not where it was supposed to go. That is not where it was supposed to go. It was supposed to go to simple DNS records, record types. That is that is the wrong list. Nope, this is not what I wanted either. Now they have one on this. Well, hold on. DNS record types. If I just do this should be one of the first things that come up. Simple. Here we go. And you can see here on the left, there are a bunch of different record types. Not crazy important that you memorize. And I don't know what most of these are. Never heard of most of them. Again, the most common ones you'll see are the A record, you know, quad A records, C names, MX records, and NS records. Don't worry. Oh, and I should have went over text records a little bit, because those also usually go hand in hand with a lot of features of mail. But there are plenty of other records, but you know, not important that you know about those things. So let's change this because I gave you a terrible website that's not a cheat sheet at all, and you probably would have felt cheated by getting there. Let's see, how do I edit this? Bloop, add link, not file. It says that it really does have a, I mean, I love this computer. The trackpad is really not great, and if I had more space on the desk, I would just use my super cool mouse. Okay, so let's move on to, now that we know about the records, now we know what some of the records are, that there are different ways of there are multiple ways of doing that phone book mapping. There's multiple ways to say, hey, this is how you get to my domain. Let's learn how, what tools you might use to find out information about these things, if you're trying to troubleshoot, or to be able to find out, you know, where a site is pointed, where your site is pointed, and mess with them a little bit. So the first one we have, and actually maybe I should have put MX Toolbox at the top. If you don't want to do all these, here are basically different tools on the computer that you can use to find out this information. It's something you'll use a lot to troubleshoot issues in the cloud. People almost always say, you know, DNS is almost always the problem. It's the problem very often. It really is a thing. But these are some ways you can kind of confirm that. But we'll go to the first one. We'll click on the link. MX Toolbox is an excellent site. MX Toolbox has been around for forever, generally used to troubleshoot mail and mail servers. And I'm telling you, mail is crazy finicky, and so this was always an amazing tool. But although it was designed for that, it also is really good at doing some DNS lookups and things. And so if I were to go to Twitch, if I were to look up twitch.com, I'd get it, it'd go through and I'd get a bunch of information about Twitch. Check this out. I get so that's an A record here. And I got 3 different A records here, and I have some IP addresses that it's mapped to. And I have a TTL. We'll talk about TTL in a little bit. But you know, you shouldn't know how to use this tool yet, but this is a tool that helps you look up information about domains, and you can find out information about domains. It's really nice. Now, another cool thing is, if you take, you know, for twitch.com, if you take this IP address, remember, this is how computers actually work, and how web browsers actually communicate with things. And I hit enter and paste that in my browser, it goes to twitch.tv. It goes straight there, which is really nice, because again, this is the internet location in which I can get information from Twitch. And so there are more than one of these here. And so this is done for a number of reasons, having multiple A records at different IP addresses. Again, Twitch is a service that needs to be highly available, available to lots of different people. And so this is, 3 entryways into your application is great for DNS redundancy. They probably use this a bit for failover and all kinds of stuff you can do. So a lot of cool stuff you can do with DNS and different traffic routing as well. I bet they do some interesting routing based on that stuff as well. But that is how you can find out information about, a website. So that's one way. That's probably that's the easiest way. But a lot of the times, as we're moving further and learning about the cloud and getting more into the engineering side of cloud, and and kind of understanding how things work, we have some other tools, and these are all command line tools that could either help us find out information, query the DNS service, or allow us to be able to manipulate the DNS service a little bit as well. And so let's check these out. Let's hop right into a terminal. All right, we're in our terminal. These should all probably be available, whether you're on Mac. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna find out now. I don't know if they're available on Mac. They should be available out of the box. At least some of them should. NS Lookup probably isn't. Dig probably is. On WSL for Windows, it looks like they're all available. Should be available, but again, not crazy important that you get it to work right now. Even in Windows, I think you can do them in PowerShell or Command Prompt. I think you can still do them there as well. But the first one we're going to do is dig. And so I'm going to do man dig real quick so I can look at the manual for dig. Dig, simply a DNS lookup utility. Dig is a flexible tool for interrogating DNS name servers. So we talked about those NS records. We talked about there being a place that that has been set up as the authority for information about your domain. And so this is a tool used for querying that information. It performs DNS lookups and displays the answers that are returned from the name servers that were queried. Great. And so let's see how you do something like that. And so actually, we can see a bunch of stuff in here. We're going to keep it very simple today. We're not going to do anything crazy, but you can simply dig, IGN.com. And so it runs through and we get a little bit of information. There's the interesting thing about dig is it gives you a lot of verbose output. There's probably flags to get easier things. But it says you got an answer. It gives you some information, but you can usually jump down to the answer section. And we can see here that for IGN.com, which is a gaming review website, this is their IP address. And I can copy this. And we can go back up to our browser and we can go back in and we can look right here. What is the app that I'm using? So it looks like you can't, interesting. So I'll tell you why that's happening in a second, or why I believe that's happening in a second. And let me see. They probably have some stuff set up on their web server to not allow this, but I would also assume, I wonder what the index is. I bet it would allow the index. All right, no big deal. We'll talk about why that's happening. But the app that I'm using, if you're talking about this terminal, I'm just using the terminal for my computer. If you're on Mac, you have a terminal as well. If you're on Windows, you can probably do command prompt. Let me see, does this work does dig work here? Dig does not work on Windows. You can dig it, it's just fun to say. It is fun to say. But we were able to get that IP address here, and again, we couldn't go to it. You can set up some interesting things you have a lot of options in those web servers, so Nginx, Apache. You can set up based on what people put in, what kind of information they get back. But I guarantee you, the response that we're getting here, this is not a normal this is a normal looks like this is a normal web server response. This forbidden says, hey, you reached a location, you've reached a web server, I am delivering data back to you. So if we put in an IP address that's not a thing that we can put in, that's not serving information, oh well, okay, I must have an Nginx server running. Okay, that's interesting. Let's just all right, actually I just did a Google search because I started off with a 0. Let's just do the A2 8V. Is that the right number? Interesting. It just says Google searches. But if we were to hit an IP address that wasn't serving any data, this is not what we would get. We would get something more like this. We would get something more like the site can't be reached because we attempted to go to a place that is not serving anything. This actually shows us because there's no DNS information. It tells you right here, DNS probe finished. This IP address cannot be found because of because it went to go do the lookup. It went to go do the phone book lookup for what I typed in up here, and it couldn't find anything. But this is a web server response, and there's other ways to find out that information through checking the status codes through curl, whatever. But generally, every website's not going to allow you to do that. But for a dig, you can also dig other records. So if you wanted specific information, I could see if I could get the quad A record. It doesn't look like they have a quad A record. I could do things like MX records and see, okay, remember how I said there would be multiple MX records and they would have a priority. So this is so IGN, the website IGN. Let's give you a little context. Let's head to IGN.com. I go here, I've been going here for years, but again, they just do reviews and cover gaming news and stuff like that. But we can immediately find out that, hey, they use Google Gmail for their mail server. So they are receiving mail through Google's mail servers. So that's cool. Now we know a little bit of information about them. And it has these numbers up front. So these are the servers when you attempt to send mail, using mail protocols, they go out and use, DNS to query information and says, hey, all right, I need to deliver mail first to aspmx.l.google.com. and that is the first priority. This is where it'll try to go first. And then these two are the next. These have a priority of 5, so these are the next priorities. And then the ones that have a priority of 10 are the next. So there's some redundancy there and where it can go, where it can be delivered to, ensuring that, if DNS gets all weird, you still are able to deliver mail to where it needs to go. But again, you can just dig, and then the thing that you want to find out, I can find out about the name servers. So these are the name servers. So they're using AWS. They are using AWS's name servers. So excellent. This is great. This means that we are about to learn Route 53 tonight. They are using Route 53. So they're a company like IGN. You could go and work there because they are using what we are learning about right now. Why is it always DNS? What makes DNS so finicky? Great question, Frequency Hop. There are, in my opinion, there are 3 big things that make DNS finicky and mostly the problem. One, we suck at humans are writing the stuff, and human errors is easy to do, and because DNS is used to route information over the web. It's easy to not understand in an application how a request or how a service is going to modify or try to request information from somewhere else. So one, it's always a problem because of configuration, because you do not configure requests to happen properly or something like that within the application. That's one reason. 2, DNS is how the internet works. It is how data gets to where it needs to be. So it's very, very important. And so if your site's, there's a lot of times when you can't get to a special thing, even if it's just a service of the site. Because it's so important, and because it's just a service, because it's just a service like your web server, it's not anything special. This is DNS. It's this big important thing, but it's not it's not a crazy. It's not this big thing that exists that is well taken care of. It's distributed. So wherever these web servers are, wherever these zones and things are set up, they're just services that can go down as well. So DNS problem, especially when you're hosting your own DNS is often the problem. 3, the third biggest one, and probably the main reason, has to do with time to live. And we talked about TTLs when we talked about CloudFront. And time to live is the amount of time that data stays available before it is wiped out. And so because of this thing called time to live, when you set up a record, you also have to set up a time to live for that record. And this is going to be the amount of seconds or amount of minutes or second. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's seconds, but maybe it's minutes, probably minutes, that this data is going to live, is going to cache for. So this information gets cached as well, and that caching is a big part of the problem. Caching, it really shouldn't be DNS is always the problem. It should be caching is always the problem. And so data can get stale, information can get old, information can get stale, and if you have to make changes to DNS, not only do you have almost no control over the way that those caches get timed out, not only, that's probably the biggest thing. You don't really have any control over that. So whenever you put that information out there, these changes, these records need to get propagated around the world to all the DNS servers kind of around the world. And I'm gonna show you where you can kind of monitor propagation from, because we're gonna purchase the domain tonight and we're gonna do this ourselves. But that caching and that lack of control can cause a lot of issues, especially if you have to make a change, especially if you make a little mistake. Maybe you put the wrong thing, but you left the TTL on some default, which is super high, and then you go to change it real fast. Wherever that's been propagated to already, it kind of picks up those things and gets really, really annoying. That's one of the advantages of running your own DNS server, is having the ability to at least flush at a certain location, so that old people who already got the stuff are still going to keep the old stuff, but new people are going to get the new stuff. So really, really annoying sometimes. What's up, Mr. Demon Wolf? How I came today, I always wanted to learn more about DNS. Yeah, it's pretty it's pretty interesting. Set up my own bind server. Yes, so respect to you. Bind servers are I mean, maybe it's gotten easier. They used to be, you know, if you were hosting a lot of zones. So I used to work at web hosting companies, and we would have to host and manage a lot of zones manually and doing zone transfers amongst all the servers and stuff. It was really finicky. DNS is really finicky. So if I were you, if you don't want to learn how to do it for your own, you know, project, and you're just not a tinker, I would let, you know, one of these web services handle wherever you buy your domain from. If you don't have a specific reason, I just let them handle it. I definitely let them handle it. But what else do we have here? Oh yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. So dig, we did Emacs. Let's try CNAME. Let's see if there's any CNAMEs here. There aren't, which kind of makes a lot of sense. Oh yeah, were you able to get it working right away? That's cool if you were. Like I said, I've run into so many issues with bind servers the same way I've run into tons of issues with email servers. If I had to choose though, I'd rather run a bind server than an email server. Email is the worst. And nah, email's the worst for sure. So dig is one of those tools that you can use to do this. And I think, I want to say dig's a newer tool. I can't never remember which one's newer, dig or NS lookup. NS lookup is another one. It might not be available for you by default. You can install it. Man, NS lookup. So broke my website when I connect. Yes, that will do that. That will do that. And so breaking your website once you were connected is probably okay, I'll check that out. But again, that also has to do with it probably I don't know about your website, but that's generally a problem because of DNS as well. Whenever you start to go through different services and servers, it went to that first point that I was talking about the configuration of a domain, the configuration of a web server, and how information comes and goes out, and how requests get transformed. It can be really weird when you do that. So NS lookup is to query the internet name servers interactively. It's a program to query internet domain name servers. Sounds a lot like dig. One of these is newer than the other one. I can't remember. But you can do the same thing. I can do NS lookup on IGN.com, and I will check out some stuff. And I got nothing back. I got some stuff back, but you can notice that this is you know, it's basically saying, hey, I used my local DNS to try to find this stuff, and I cannot find igm.ockham because that's not a thing. But if I do .com, I do in fact get an address back. Non-authoritative answer IGN.com, and this looks different actually from the one we got before. I think. I wonder if this one works. Same thing. Okay, maybe this is the same one. This is probably just another one. Again, so that redundancy, and also just the way they may be piping us through to different things as well. So NS lookup is how you can do the same thing here, and you can see that the NS lookup stuff is not as verbose. I generally use dig just because out of habit. I know that there are differences between the programs. I don't know what they are, and I also don't think that's super important. But you can, you know, if you ever want to look into it, or if anyone knows anything specific about the differences between NS lookup and dig, you know, feel free to throw that information out there. And then we've done this before when we were doing with one of the labs with the web servers and the load balancing. Well, actually, let's do who is real quick. Who is not necessarily how you find information about DNS, but it is how you find out information about a domain. Actually, let's actually dig that CNAME really quick. Mr. Demon Wolf, dig. So you all can see kind of what a CNAME looks like, and that was for Mr. Demon Wolf .me. I spelled that wrong. Mr. Demon. It looks right. I didn't see it. What happens if I do it for mine? Because I see names as well. Oh, I would have had to. Oh, it's because I did it with the Apex domain. So maybe www might do it, might work. Dot Mr. Demon Wolf dot me. Okay. But if I go to like something like, I know mine has it. Yeah, so get some mastermind stuff, and you can see here, remember I have my site which is in an S3 bucket going through CloudFront. So you can see here, I have the domain for CloudFront actually as the CNAME. So if I actually go here, because this is an alias, www.mastermind.io is actually just an alias for this right here. So you all could go, if you wanted, you can go to this URL and get to mastermind.io, but a lot of things don't work. And so this is why DNS is crazy, because a lot of things don't work because of the way the request is being made. A lot of these things have URLs that are not this thing or not allowed by this thing. So this doesn't give me, it takes me to my page, but it doesn't work all the way. But if we go to mastermind.io, and this is how you find out that my site's actually broken. You get everything that you're supposed to get. You get all the assets, you get all the things. Again, right there is part of the reason why we say DNS is always the problem. And again, it's more so has to do with the way that we have to configure websites on our end. So even though my website is configured to know that requests are going to be coming through at mastermind.io, but this CloudFront URL does not necessarily know that, but CloudFront does a lot of magic in between in the way that it passed through requests when I go to mastermind.io. Same thing you can do for my for Academy. But I think Academy works through a different CloudFront domain. Copy. Yep, of course. And so that actually works. So the Academy website actually does work just fine. And I can probably configure mastermind.io to work through there. But yes, that's just kind of how the CNAME works. When you go to academy.mastermind.io, it's really proxying your data, not even proxy, it's piping your data through this domain actually. So, or your request rather, not your data. Okay. Who is how you find out information about a domain, specifically the owners and information like that. So if I do who is, let's pick a new random domain. What's a fun domain? What's a website that's popular, that's wholesome, people go to all the time? Newgrounds. I just thought that at the top of my head. It's not wholesome at all. But who is newgrounds.com? And here's where you'll start to get some information about Newgrounds. And again, you'll get things about like the owner, and if the stuff is public, if it's open, you can get again their emails, the contact information. This is where you would go if you were looking for a domain that you really wanted for your business or for organization, and you're like, hey, I want to buy this domain, but it's not available. This is where you could go to find out who to email or who to call to attempt to make them an offer. You can find out who is where they purchased it from, who the registrar is of the company. So, they bought theirs from Two Cows. Yeah. And so this is where they purchased their stuff from. So what is the registrar? Maybe they didn't purchase it from them. Maybe they transferred it in. But either way, it also lets you know when it was purchased in 98, when it was updated. It was updated in March 28th, and it lets you know how long they own this domain for. It lets you know how long they purchased it for. So they've purchased Newgrounds through 9/16/2022. So again, you can also find out their name servers. But yeah, again, if the information is public, you can go, find out who it was registered to. When you register a domain, you've got to put in all this information. And again, you can make information private if you'd like. And who is actually run by an organization called ICANN. The information, what does that say? Come on, show me the name. What does ICANN stand for? they expect me to just know or just not care. The information oh no, what does this stand for? The Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. That is who manages that domain information, organization by the name of ICANN, and they run this Whois database with all that information. So every time you register a domain from a company who is allowed to do that, there are only a select number of companies who have that ability. You can't just go buy a domain from anyone. Everyone does not have the ability to sell a domain. You go there, you buy it from them, you register the information. That information gets put into the Whois database. And then Etsy host and resolve.conf, these are just ways to adjust manipulate DNS locally on your computer. So don't mess with resolve.conf. We talked about Etsy host before. Sudo vim /Etsy host. Now, why would you want to do this? This is great for testing purposes. This is great for development purposes. This allows you to, maybe you're building an app, maybe you're building your own personal website. Maybe I'm building a website locally on my computer right now for, I already have one in here for Aaron.gov. Is that a thing? Let me see this. What is this? I thought it was an example I used last time I taught DNS. Let's actually check if this is a thing. No way it is. Yeah. I mean, it's not a thing because that server IP address. There's no way I still have whatever server that is. But it's a way for you to bypass. Not even bypass. I don't even want to say bypass. But it's a way for you to set up DNS locally. It's a way for you to map an IP address to a domain. So actually, what happens when you make a request to DNS, the first thing it does actually is it checks your local computer to see if you've hit that before. So every time you type in google.com, it does not go and make that request. It does, it will make it the first time you ever hit a site, it'll go make that request. But then again, your computer will cache that data. Usually, locally, it'll cache that data, and it'll keep that information around so that whenever you need to go to google.com again, your computer says, hey, I know where google.com is. I don't need to go out and make that round trip request, and we can get there pretty fast. This allows you to do that. It allows you to set up any mapping you want. So I could any website I want, any single website, any website in the world I want, if I want to reroute, and again, this is only locally to your computer. This doesn't affect anything out on the internet. But as far as you're concerned, if I want to set up a website and I want to test and see how it's going to work if the domain is aaronisthebest.com, I can set that up here and kind of interact with the website in that fashion. And my computer knows that when I type in aaronisthebest.com, it's supposed to go to this IP address, which goes to this server, which is super nice. So Etsy host is a thing that you can use to do this. This is available on Mac and PC as well. It's in an interesting place on a Windows PC. I don't remember the path for it, but on both Linux and Mac, it is in /Etsy/hosts. It is called your hosts file. And the other thing is Etsy, resolve.conf. I actually would say don't even go. I'm going to open this up. I would say don't even go in here. And what this does is if you mess this up, this will break a lot of things. And so this is kind of this is just a file that helps set up kind of how your DNS is resolved, like where the requests for DNS get resolved, or where they go through. You can actually point this at different things. So sometimes if you're trying to test to see if your local DNS is a problem, you can actually, one thing people usually do for testing purposes is they will put another line in here and they'll comment out the one up here and they'll point it to 8.8.8.8, and 8.8.8.8 is a DNS resolver server that Google offers. And so you can set it as that to kind of test if issues with resolving DNS are local to you and your computer and your network, or if you want to test someone else's. So I wouldn't mess with that. I just give you a little information about that as well. So those are the tools you have. Again, I will mess around with them. One of the only assignment you have is to kind of use one of these to see if you can find out the IP address of your favorite internet sites And no, just check it out. See, look through the output, you know, go in here, you know, and dig all I ever like, no websites I go to are like YouTube. Not Git, I don't know why I did that. Dig and get some information and see if you can just look up and kind of start and make a little connection. All right, A records. I'm starting to see an A record. I'm starting to see that goes along with an IP address. I have to imagine that they have a quad A record, but maybe not. They do have a quad A record. And so let's see what happens if I type this into the address. And it doesn't let me just put that in here because I wonder if I have to do HTTPS the :/ yeah. I don't really know much about, I actually don't know that much about IPv6 addresses. I don't know how you could, I don't know the differences in interacting with them manually, because again, I just not something that you're probably gonna have to do very often. If you want to do DNS over HTTP, or you do it in this config. So DNS, no, that is a bigger, that's a much bigger setup, and it's a bigger setup. Maybe you can do it in there. That's not where I would do it. So first off, it's a very DNS over TLS is a very interesting thing. One of the people we rated before, he's been through a couple times, Do Right, or Dow, I call him Dow, but Do Right, he went on a significant rant over how dumb this DNS over TLS stuff is in terms of security and how it's breaking the paradigm of the internet. I don't know enough about it to know if he was onto something, or or if he, everyone's entitled to their opinions, but I think, I don't know, it's interesting, but no, that needs to be done, that needs to be set up elsewhere. That needs to be set up on the delivering server. That needs to be set up in a bunch of different places, to be honest. At least the implementation that I've seen, and the implementation I've seen, it's been a while, so maybe it's gotten a lot easier, but yeah, maybe, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember. I don't remember. But yeah, what's up, dear Dagny? Hello, welcome to the channel. What's up, Mewtwo? All the Pokemon names are just phenomenal. What's up, David Frew? Known. That's probably the unknown known, but known. Welcome. Cozy, welcome. Chomsky, welcome. Fad, hello. Dehastra, thank you. Good to see you. How's everyone doing tonight? So, what do we have? Those are tools. Now we're finally going to be talking about the AWS portion of this and the service that they have. Again, all their services solve a problem. This is the problem that Route 53 solves. So Route 53 is AWS's highly scalable DNS service. Now, why is it called Route 53? We talked about protocols before. DNS runs over port 53. That's why it's called Route 53. But high scalable DNS service. Some cool things that it has, and this is kind of all you need to know right now about Route 53. We're gonna dive in again so you can see it, but like, these are the kind of big ticket items that you may be asked about on some of the exams. But yeah, you kind of just need to know what it is, and it's a highly scalable DNS service. It manages, you can manage traffic flow using DNS. So remember we talked about those load balancers. You can do a lot of smart routing of your traffic using DNS as well. So before you even get to your servers, so if latency gets super high on a server or service, you can actually have it do some automatic failing over and send information elsewhere. So latency based, you can do geo DNS. So depending on where people are making a request from around the world, can determine, how their DNS resolves, which is really nice. Geo proximity, similar thing here, and weighted round robin. So you can also do some load balancing. inside of DNS. So it's really nice. And again, it says it's highly scalable. So normally these things it's a service. It's run on servers. You know, if you're getting tons and tons and tons of requests, you might not have servers that can handle that. And again, normally you'll be fine, but it's possible for that to happen. This allows you to, not have to worry about that at all. One amazing thing that it allows you to do is the big benefit here, the key benefit of why you would want to use Route 53 is it gives you alias records to AWS services. The reason this matters is because this is what allows a lot of the rapid movement of the cloud. But the way that the way that DNS resolves, the way that DNS exists, can be weird, and it can cause problems. But these alias records, while yes, you still are bound by the TTLs and things like that, the alias records allow you to not have to set up web servers in front of different services. Like you can point your DNS straight at different AWS services and things. They do a lot of magic behind the scenes for this to work. So that is why AWS is good. We're going to see what those alias records look like. But that's all the slides. We're going to go purchase a domain and we're going to start setting some stuff up and having a little fun. How often do you interact with AWS through their API rather than manual deployment? Very often. More. I don't manually deploy anything, to be honest. Well, personally, I manually deploy stuff because I'm lazy, even though it would be more lazy to automate some of those things. But yeah, the API is my preferred method of interaction. Even again, when you're touching through the CLI, through any of the software developer kits or CDK or anything else, even if you're talking about Terraform or CloudFormation, you are interacting through AWS's APIs. What's up, Simulios? Welcome to the channel. Oh, I love the world cow. The world. It's a moon cow. Is it a moon cow? Welcome everyone from Mr. Simulios. I'm gonna go with that again. Welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for the raid. Good to have you. Good to have you. Let me get you a little shout out here. I can't say your name, but maybe I can spell it. This looks better. There we go. What were you all doing over there tonight? Art action. Oh, I like I like me some art. Let's hold on real quick. Let's click on this. I do like me some a little bit of art here. Oh, video editing with okay, we need to talk. Video editing with Blender. I need to know. I'm gonna go watch this. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are on that, and if you are finding success. I found zero success trying to do that. For a number of times I've tried to switch over to Linux full-time. The only thing keeping me from being Linux full-time right now is content creation. I'm good at GIMP, I'm good at Inkscape. Video editing was the last front that I could not solve. There is DaVinci Resolve. It was not stable enough for what I needed it to do. Even though I'm not making a bunch of videos, I will be making a bunch of videos really soon. So I couldn't do it. I was going to chat. Oh, dope. Well, it's good to have you. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everyone who came from your channel today. And as we're learning a little bit about AWS, we're learning a little bit about DNS, the way the internet works a little bit, and we're actually going to purchase a domain right now and learn a little bit about that. You're all you've walked into I think we're in week 7 of 8 of an 8-week boot camp. And so, there's only this class and 3 more left for this run. But we do these often, and there will be many, many more of these. Kdenlive was good. Kdenlive was my best bet. It died a lot on the machines that I had before. I have not tried it on any of my newer machines. It used to crash. It used to crash specifically during render, which was very, very frustrating. Extremely frustrating. Yeah. Okay, I'll check that out. I had zero luck with it. I'm also not we'll see. I don't want to learn how to be that amazing of a video editor. So I have a service called Envato elements for just little things I need for things I'm putting together, and they have a bunch of like tools I can use inside of Premiere Pro, so I can be extra lazy and not have to learn how to do fancy stuff and just like copy and paste and stuff. We'll see. We'll actually see. Okay, you're fancy. An entire video on FFmpeg. Respect. I would actually be super interested in seeing that because I'm not dedicated enough. I'm just not. So great question. What you're looking at right now, this is a System 76 laptop. This is you know, my System 76 laptop, but it's going through my Windows desktop because Windows has all the great tools. Like I'm using my Stream Deck and a bunch of other stuff to kind of help with this. And again, Linux will not allow me to do that, but overpriced. Yeah, I mean, they're not. If you're looking for best bang for buck, yeah, you're probably not gonna get it with System 76. I decided to step on a limb because I was watching them for a while. I'm telling you, if your goal is like, hey, I just want a Linux laptop and I want it to work, I want all the features of it to work. I'm telling you, put out the money. I want the features to work. I'm telling you, I've used Linux for years. I've never, the one thing like that I have to harp on every time is Bluetooth. I've never had a system where it was easy for me to hook multiple Bluetooth things up before, ever. And this, no problem. My wireless headphones, my wireless mouse, all that stuff just connects whenever I turn it on, connects right to it. Never any issues, never issues with it dropping. I've had systems be super weird where like, the headset would connect, but it would be in like teleconference mode, so it would sound like a phone rather than like high fidelity audio, and they couldn't change it. But yeah, I don't know, man. It was crazy. Use a ThinkPad. I have a ThinkPad. You know, use ThinkPads are the best for running Linux. But now, actually, if you're willing to shell out a little bit more money for a you know, bigger system, a more powerful system, give Lenovo a month. They're certifying all their workstation ThinkPads for Linux, both Ubuntu and Fedora. So they will be selling, you know, those things. Also, Dell has the XPS developer series, developer edition series. So yeah, you can check that out. So feel free to, if you're looking for some Linux computers, check out the options. I've purchased an XPS 13 developer edition. It was phenomenal. It was really good. The only reason I got rid of it is because 13-inch computers they're just too small. Like mostly like screen size is actually fine, but like they're kind of cramped. Like again, I have paws. I feel like my fingers are big, and like I just always felt a little too cramped. So this one's perfect. This one's 14 inches and it feels a lot larger, but I generally go 15-inch laptops. Yeah, so as someone who is now going to be biking to work all the time, I now understand why people care about the weight of their laptops. Literally going from no laptop to laptop in my bag, it changes the whole ride. Like the whole ride got uncomfortable as soon as I like took a laptop with me. So I do understand now the thing about weight, but I do have an X1 Carbon. I do have an X1 Carbon that I'll probably be using because it only because I want to leave this one hooked up here. I want to leave the System 76 hooked up here, so I don't got to mess with it. But yeah. Okay, like I said, tonight we're gonna be done pretty quick, so let's get back to it real quick. We know that DNS right now is the proverbial phone book for the internet. It's the way that when your computer needs to get information about a domain that you give it, so google.com or yahoo.com or blockbuster.com or netflix.com, whenever you type that into your browser, your computer says, hey, I need to look up where that thing is on a network, and it goes and gets the IP address. It uses that information. It gets the IP address using DNS, using the domain name service. It gets that information, and then it goes out to that IP address to get the sweet data that you want to get. And Route 53 is the managed service by AWS that allows you to do that. It's a highly scalable data service. So let's get logged into our stuff here, our console. Twitch.tv, yes, /mastermind.io. I can't tell you how many times I've typed in twitch.tv/mastermind.io and it breaks everything, and it's really sad every time. And I put it a bunch of places and people are like, this doesn't work, and I'm like, it does work if you could read my mind and knew that you're supposed to take off the dot in the middle. So let's get logged in here. Let's see. And we're in, and we'll head over to Route 53. So Route 53 again is just a service. And if you go into services, actually, if you go in here, this is going to be under the networking section, I believe. It's going to be under networking and content delivery, Route 53. And so that's where it's going to be. You can type it in and it'll come up. And it's actually it's harder to understand. Like, the service is actually pretty easy to use, but you need to understand DNS first. But DNS management, hosted zones. So these are going to be the different domains that I'm hosting. So again, I told you I helped out with a meetup here in Baltimore. We run a Baltimore Black Techies meetup. We purchased domain. So I have that DNS hosted right here, as well as mastermind.io, as well as pipelines.academy. So that's something we purchased for the pipelines course tonight. If it's not purchased already, and if none of you purchase it before I purchase it, we're gonna purchase horizons.academy for this exact thing. And so in the slide here, it does in fact say that you can purchase domains through Route 53, and you can. So I highly recommend that if you are going to be using start your engines, just come on. I mean, it's okay. I'll get Horizons 2, or I'll get Horizons with a Z if you don't, but it's also probably going to cost you like $60. So, if you want to drop $60 to troll me, yeah, feel free, we'll be okay. But if you're going to be using AWS to manage the DNS for the domain anyway, I say buy it through here, to be honest, unless you get a way cheaper price somewhere else, just because you don't have to transfer it in, or you don't have to change the NS records or whatever. So, and you don't have to pay for it on the spot. That's another great thing. If you're buying some important domains, sometimes domains can be expensive. You can get domains for super cheap, $9, $12. So Google domains is really nice. It's usually always $12. So I usually use Google domains, but I started using Amazon as well for this, depending on what I'm doing. Yeah, $12 is pretty cheap. But what was I gonna say? Oh well, forgot what I was gonna say. But I'm gonna buy one. And I'm gonna buy Horizons .academy, and I think it's gonna be fun for the future of this. A little bit more. Is it available? Come on, it might not be available. It's available, so I'm gonna add it to my cart. And again, oh yeah, you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for it immediately. And so you can select how long you want to own the domain for. This is going to be a similar experience that you're going to go through for any website. GoDaddy is probably one of the bigger known options, at least in the United States, for purchasing domains. Perfectly fine. Namecheap, Google Domains is a place. AWS here. There's a fair number of places you can buy them from, but it's not like there aren't a ton of them. There are a few options. So you can shop around for prices if you want. I'm just gonna buy it through here because we're here already. And that's all I want. Also, you know what? Before someone else buys it, I'm gonna buy Decoded as well. Oh, okay. Hold on, we gotta go see that real quick. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense that this would be let's see who's cramping our vibe. Who's cramping our vibe right now? Maybe we'll buy it from them. Maybe we can find out using our tools, using who is, where we can go buy that stuff. Oh, they didn't not even do anything with it. They're not even who is what was it? Decoded.academy. We got some purchasing to do. Let's make an offer. Oh, redacted for privacy. Oh, I'm gonna call this. That's abuse. I'm gonna call it. So it's registered through GoDaddy. Man, come on, give me something. All right. Well, obviously whoever purchased it is just sitting on it and wanted to do something with it, but never did anything with it. So we'll figure out what to do for Decode. We'll we'll have to figure out a fancy way to make this okay. But all right, we'll leave that alone. I wanted them all to kind of work. Decoded did. No, that's fine. We'll check out with the ones that we have now. And so this is where the decoder, that's good. Maybe we'll try decoder after this. Contact type. So this is where you can do this. My registrant, I can make all this the same. So I can leave this. And again, this is my public company information. So not really a big deal. You can go right to my website. This is all at the bottom of my website. All this information, even the phone number. Yeah. So I'll leave this here. You can make it public or private or whatever. I'm going to leave it open because, privacy protection. Fine, whatever. And it'll give you a little overview of what's going to be out there, what you're buying. Do I want to automatically renew? Yeah, for now I'm gonna leave it on enabled. Disable it if you do not want to automatically pay the $32 every year. Or it'll automatically renew on whatever interval you chose. So if you chose a 2-year option, it'll automatically renew every 2 years if you like. Just say, hey, I've read this, I do want to keep this, I'm going to complete my order. And now the thing has been submitted, and sometimes it'll take a few minutes for everything. Yeah, so it might take up to 3 days to complete. I've never seen a domain registration take more than like a couple minutes, to be 100% honest. This one is still pending, so maybe I shouldn't have said that, because now it's probably going to take a long time, but we'll give it a few. We'll come back in a second, but let's head over to our hosted zones and let's look at pipelines.academy and let's look at the interface. Let's look at what's in there and let's see if we can see what's going on. And when you get in, you simply, I like that, just to Recoded. I like that. That is the new name of Decoded. When we do it again, it's now Recoded. So it's only decoded for the first run, and we don't need the domain for the first run, but for the second run, when we kind of make more, more stuff, Recoded. I feel you. You can dig it. What movie is that from? Can you dig it? Is that from that's from what the movie with Dragonfly Jones? Is that what it's from? Or am I thinking of something different? I don't know. Warriors. There we go. I'm tripping. All right. So what we get in here is we get a little DNS interface. And you know what? I'll also show you, just so you can see that, like, yes, Route 53 is its own thing, but I want to show you how similar it is to something like Google Domains. Let's go over here. Google Domains. As soon as you register, yeah, I'm about to register it. I really am. I actually like that. Recoded. That's good. I really like that a lot. So I have a number of domains in here. So I'll tell you what. I went on a little spree. And I had all kinds of stuff in here. Yeah, Stack Foundry, let it go. I used to have like 20 domains in here. I had an interesting site that precursed all the things that I'm doing here, to be honest. It was called ok.com, like okay, like to be able to explain things in layman's terms. I'll explain complicated topics in layman's terms. I owned it for a while. I was too lazy to make a website and I never did, but that was my favorite domain that I ever purchased. It was ahhokai.com. And you come up with these great names, and you think you want to do something with them, so you purchase it, you spend your money. And I had it for like 3 years, and I was like, one day I was like, I'm not renewing this. Like, there's no way I'm renewing this at all. But yeah, so I have a couple of things in here. I have aaronbrooks.dev. There's literally nothing there. There was a period of time where everyone was like, oh, you better go buy your .dev domain because people are buying them up. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll use it. I'm never gonna use this. I never gonna use it. But if we go into like mastermind.io and we manage it, there's a DNS section here. And it's got a lot of the same stuff. So it looks different, but you can see here, it's got some stuff set up here. And if I go into here, same thing. So the first thing that it has set up here right here is for pipelines.academy. It has some name server records set up. And so these are set up automatically. I did not set these up. You won't have to set these up either. It's these are records to the name servers that Amazon is using to host these things, the zones that these things are sitting on. And check this out, it's got the time to live here, which is in seconds. I don't know how many seconds this is. Well, no, I take that back. Obviously, I know how many seconds that is. I do not know how many minutes that is. We could do a little bit of division if we wanted to. But yeah, it has that time to live here, which you can set. And you can, I don't think you can change these. Maybe you can. I'm not saving that. Because I want to say you can't change them, even though it's allowing me to. I don't know. Don't worry about the SOA record right now. But what you want to see here is this A record here. And although it's an A record, look here, it's not actually pointed at an IP address, which is interesting. And you might say, hey, you just told me that A records are host records that point a domain to an IP address, and that if you wanted an alias, if you wanted to point a domain at another domain, you must use a CNAME record. That is generally true. It really is generally true. But again, AWS allows you to use these aliases instead, and they do some great things. So what they allow you to do is point to a number of different options: CloudFront distributions, Elastic Beanstalk, Elastic Load Balancers, S3 buckets. That's what we're pointed at here. VPC endpoints, API gateway, global. So it allows you to do this. Why? Because you may be updating the underlying servers or things that lie underneath an endpoint or behind an endpoint, and for you to have to go in and change your DNS every time that happens, that's really annoying. These alias records allow you to be very dynamic inside of AWS. Very dynamic. It's really nice. And so it has an A record, but my S3 bucket doesn't really have an IP address that I can use, but it has another domain. It has there is a domain that gets assigned to your S3 bucket. DNS also have this there. So there's a couple of little steps here, but this allows you to, again, do a little alias here to do that. So the option will be over here if you create a new record. So maybe if I wanted to do, let's see if our new zone is set up real quick. All right, so Horizons.Academy is ready. It's there, it's available. Let's actually go set up an S3 bucket real quick for this. Now, I don't know, we're gonna end up doing something with this. Probably in the next run in the intermediate sessions, we're probably going to be doing a lot with this domain. For pipelines, we're doing a ton with the pipelines domain, but we can do something here as well. And so let's try to grab Horizons.Academy bucket. It contains invalid character, which is a space, which is at the very end. And let's see if we can grab this. Let's copy settings from academy.mastermind.io so that it is already set up for a bunch of stuff. Wolfgang Blitz, I love the name. Thank you so much for not only the Shamrock, but for the 100 bits. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I feel so special. I also love the thumbs up, but the Shamrock, the tilting Shamrock is icing on the cake. Wishing for good luck. So I acknowledge the current settings, disabling block all access. I don't want to block all access because I want this to be a public bucket. I'm gonna create an S3 bucket. We've done this before for us to put a little site into. But now that I've created this bucket is, is in the background, Horizons.Academy. Nothing in there, there's nothing in there right now, but I can go into Route 53 and we could stick some files in there right now. And we can start to see some things, but by default we're gonna get the SOA record and we're gonna get the NS record set up for us. The NS record set up, so there are now servers that are ready to handle this stuff. You can make it private, only accessible by CloudFront. That's very true, you could, but which we're not gonna do right now. That's what we did last time with the other example that we did. We are not gonna do that because I don't feel like setting up CloudFront right now. What is happening? Refresh. Okay, so let's grab a website. Let's see if we can find a better dynamic, free, dynamic HTML5 templates. Let's see if we can get a dope website that we can steal real quick. These ones are cool, but like they weren't like amazing. Like I want one that's gonna be amazing. Yes, you can use Squarespace to register a domain as well. Again, I'm not a I've heard a lot of people, when people ask questions like that, say Squarespace, no. Look, Squarespace is amazing for informational sites. If your site is informational and you don't want to manage the upkeep and don't really need the flexibility and granularity to manage your stuff, go for it. It does that very well. I think the costs, you know, over time, I think can be much, but again, you don't have to put in that overhead of messing with the stuff, to be honest, but you are limited in what you can do. But yeah, Squarespace will allow you to register a domain. Bizcraft. Let's download this Bizcraft stuff here. You know what? I have access to a bunch of stuff. Let's see. Nope, never mind. We'll just grab that. Download now. What? I want the free version. Nope, too much work. We're going to HTML5 up again. We're just going to grab another site from HTML5 up. HTML5up.net. And again, we've done this a million times, but we want to see that how DNS works a little bit. And so right now, if you were actually to go look up information about Horizon if we were to dig horizons.academy, do I have an S on the end? Academy. If we were to dig that information, we would not get an A record back, because by default it'll do the A record by default. That's just the default settings for the application. But if we were to do something like the NS records, we could get back the maybe I did not. Interesting. Horizons.academy. Let's try. I assume the NS records will come back. But if we I think I can also do this, or does NS go at the end? Blew up. Couldn't get any addresses for Horizons.academy. Are they playing me? Is it not propagated around the world yet? That's probably all it is. This is probably the DNS propagation that we're talking about. There's not really anything there, but it should have at least got the name server records back. But again, it might be taking some time to again propagate around. So let's go ahead and let's actually add an A record really quick. And I want to show you, actually, you can Google DNS propagation. There are really cool maps that show around the world what is when queried, what comes up. So if I just do something like mastermind.io and I look for the A record and I search around, it'll tell me the IP address that people are finding back. Or if it doesn't get a response, it'll let me know. But you can use this when you make a change to DNS, and you can see where around the world things have been updated, where things have already been updated and where things have not been updated yet. And it can be pretty cool. It's really nice to see. But obviously Horizons.academy is not going to give us anything because we have not put in an A record yet. Obviously. So a bunch of X's are coming up. And if we do NS records, we can probably start to see that these NS records are propagating some places. Oh, these are not my these ain't it. That ain't it. And so this is a part of the usually doesn't take this long though. Usually doesn't take that long to start propagating at least the name servers. But again, not a big deal. What we can do now is let's go in and let's the bucket doesn't have anything in it, but if we were to create an A record for it, if we were to create a new record set, that's what you do to create a new record, whether it be MX or anything like that. You have your types over here, and it gives you a little way to know what the thing is. So IPv4 address, canonical name, mail exchange, IPv6, text records are nice, pointer records, SVR, all this stuff, all of it's here. But you also have to give it, if you're using a subdomain, you have to, these records apply for a specific piece of the domain. So Horizons Academy is what's called the apex of the domain. It's the entire it's the entire domain. So google.com is the apex domain, no subdomain on it. It's the apex domain. These can only receive, the apex domain can only receive some records. C names are specifically something that cannot be applied to, they're traditionally cannot be applied to apex of the domain. So when they ask you for your name up here, the name is asking for is whatever subdomain you want this to be involved in. So if you don't put anything, it has to do with the apex domain. So I'm going to leave an A record here. I'm going to make it be an alias. So if you don't want to have it be an alias, you can actually put IP addresses, multiple ones, in here, and a list of them, and it will create A records for each of them. And you can set your TTL here if you want, but I'm going to leave it at this. I'm going to click an alias, and the nice thing about this is it will tell you what you can choose. So we set up an Elastic Beanstalk environment, so it allows us to do that. S3 websites, once I set up an endpoint, I can point it at this. It'll pop up in this list, which is nice. I can also pick these load balancers. So these load balancers that we set up when we were doing the load balancing portions, I could point it at the load balancer right now, and then DNS wouldn't need to matter anymore. It would, whenever you requested Horizons Academy, it would go to the load balancer, and if the load balancer didn't have any servers behind it, then yeah, you get a failure, but it wouldn't be a DNS failure, you get a server failure. Whenever we put something behind the load balancer, it would be able to serve data, no problem. Okay, so let's go back, let's duplicate this, let's go back in S3. Ooh, Sin City, you brought up cPanel. Gross. I mean, gross. Unless you compare it to, have you ever messed with Plesk? Plesk. I think it was cPanel, and it was Plesk. That's what we used. cPanel versus Plesk. cPanel wasn't great, but it was a lot better than Plesk. I hate Plesk with a passion. Man, these days, these were basically tools that gave you some, the ability to kind of manage your server through a web interface. That's mostly what you would do with them. It gives you the ability to manage many of the aspects of your servers through a front end kind of interface. Web hosting companies will provide this, and they probably still do provide this to customers, shared web hosting customers, to give them some flexibility on what they're allowed to do. But yeah, Arco, we are not building anything right now. We are simply learning about DNS, which is the domain name system, which allows the internet to work, which allows, when you type in google.com, to know for your computer to know where to go get the information from google.com from. And we're learning about the service in AWS called Root53 that allows us to do that thing. Serious question: where do you find the motivation, process, etc. to the Twitch streaming? That's a great question. That's a really good question, actually, CKW. I don't know. Like I said, I used to help out with some meetups and stuff like that. For me, like I said, tech has been phenomenal for me. Like, tech has allowed me to live, to experience some amazing things. It's given me the financial flexibility to do a lot. And most of that came from, learning, watching videos on the web, and trying to apply those things. And, it's been super helpful for me. Twitch is just a cool way to kind of extend the reach of who you can deliver that to. I don't know. Motivation is that one. I think that I like doing what I can to provide opportunity for people. And again, I'm This is not at all to say, I'm, come to me. I am the man with all the opportunity. I can show you how to get to where you want to be. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm using what I know to hopefully share with others, and they can, take what I give them along with a sprinkle over here of what someone else gave them, and along with a little bit of motivation they have to do some pretty great things. I don't know. It's just, I enjoy it. It's fun. It's fun hanging out with you all. It's fun. It's also a learning experience for me. Yeah, it's also fun to build a community. So I don't really know, but I'm not going anywhere. I will be. I was gonna say I'll be here every day, but not every day. We're no longer streaming on Saturdays, which sucks for now. But we'll figure it out. It probably exists. cPanel probably still exists. I'm sure it's probably really amazing now. Probably, but I don't know. See how we refreshed? Check this out. Italy is now getting updated information about Horizons.Academy. And so what this is telling me is that someone probably owned Horizons.Academy before this. And so slowly this will start to propagate around the world. How did you build out the initial viewers on Twitch? I streamed a little bit for a little while, and it was really just the people in my meetup that would join. And then honestly, what happened is I'm in a tech incubator. I'm in a business incubator actually, and I was fortunate enough to I started to advertise a little bit just on my own social about the upcoming. This was back in last August, about what I was going to be doing, and if anyone was interested, they could feel free to join in. And someone caught wind of it. Someone caught wind of it at the Baltimore Business Journal. In a publication called Technically here, and that helped a lot. So my first run, I had 30, 40 people in it, which was kind of amazing to me at the time. Still, amazing to me now. And it's kind of just picked up from there. This is the third run through of these boot camps, but we're not only going to be doing boot camps now. There's a lot more coming. Over the past year, I've been building out how this is going to work, how this is going to be structured in the future. But yeah, great question. If you want any more specifics, feel free to reach out to me on the side. Shoot me a whisper or something now that I know about whispers and I'm actually looking at them. And I'm open book. I'll give you whatever I did. I'll give it to you. Reddit was a surprisingly great place to I just posted on Reddit like, hey, in the DevOps channel, hey, I'm doing this thing. If you want to learn about DevOps, come on through. A couple different channels, and that worked out as well. So that's how I did that. So AWS charged extra on creating new aliases for only bandwidth. So good question. Yes and no. So Route 53 does cost money. Kinda. You don't really pay for the service itself, but you do pay for requests. So 50 cents per hosted zone per month for the first 25 hosted zones. So you do got to pay that 50 cents for them to kind of manage that. And then the amount of records matters, but we're not going to get more than 10,000 records. And then it's pretty cheap. After that, it's 40 cents per million queries for the first billion queries per month. Now, I mean, if you need to worry about this, you have enough money to pay for it, guaranteed. I don't care what your site is about. I don't care. If you're getting that many requests and you have to worry about this 40 cents per million queries for the first billion queries, you are amazing. And so yeah, there we go. The aliases work a little different. It is just bandwidth charged. But yes, the pricing is pretty simple. It's cheap. It's cheap for you. You do need to worry about pricing for this as you kind of get in the large companies who are getting lots of traffic, because DNS queries do not only happen when you go to kind of the apex domain. There's a lot of situations which can cause lots of DNS queries to happen. That's why that time to live is kind of important as well. Kind of managing that can be interesting. Yeah. Yeah, or you need to put some ads on your site if you're getting millions of queries and you're having to worry about the 40 cents per the million. You do need to put some ads on that site so you can make a little bit of money. And so let's see here. Let's see where we're at now. Let's see if it got any farther. Okay, still same way, but let's head over to here and let's that S3 bucket should be, let me set it up for public. I have to first set it up for as a web hosting bucket for it to be seen inside of, I have to enable this for it to be seen as an alias target. So I say, hey, use this to host a website. I'll leave that stuff there. That's why it wasn't in the list. But I'll do index.html here. And I'll click save. And now that this is enabled as a static web hosting bucket, if I refresh this, I don't know how long it takes to update, but I should be able to create a new record set. And actually probably also did that because, well, leave it there. An alias target, and the target name is now going to be, I still have no targets available. But usually let's do a www dot. I don't think that's going to affect it at all. It should show me a target pretty soon. No, yes. I'm going to refresh the whole page. There we go. See, refresh the page. Now it is there and it's available. And so it'll show you every unused S3 endpoint that you can use. It will show. So Horizon Site Academy is now a manageable one here. And so see where it says evaluate health target right here? This is an object because this is an option because you can, again, use DNS like a load balancer. If a target becomes unhealthy, you can use this to trigger things like automatic failovers. DNS failover is a thing in case, you do have a lapse in service or your DNS to send data somewhere else or to get that information elsewhere. You can leave everything kind of by default. I wouldn't worry about anything right now. But if I click create, it will create this new hosted zone for me. And I have nothing in there. But what happens now? I want to see what happens now if I try to do, I want to see if I dig this again. One, the dig works now. So I can get information back when I dig this. What happens if I try to get an A record? And when I try to hit an A record, it gives me an IP address, which makes sense because A records do in fact map to IP addresses. Do I have a CNAME here? I probably don't have a CNAME here. I don't think it does anything fancy. CNAME. No CNAME record, but I do have an A record there, and the A record goes to an IP address. This is an IP address. This probably doesn't work. Well, I don't have a site here yet, but it probably does not work. And it just takes me to Amazon. Interesting. Okay. So let's grab a site real quick and let's put it there just so we can, use it later. This website looks terrible. This one looks better. So we'll use a little bit of our, let's put it in documents and let's put it in mastermind. Let's put it right here. Let's use the AWS CLI to do this for us. Let's do a little bit of practice a little bit of that again. So I'm gonna go into my documents where I just downloaded this from, and we downloaded what did we download? We downloaded it into mastermind. We're not gonna use Boto3 for this. Too much work because we're just syncing to an S3 bucket, and we have this HTML5 up. halcyonic.zip. So I'm gonna unzip it first, and hopefully it gave me a folder rather than just unloading everything here, which I should have looked at what it Whack. Hold on. Did it? Gross. Okay. So it just unzipped everything here, I think. Did it? Was it index? Yeah, it sure did. So here's what I'll do. I'll make another directory called website. I'm gonna copy HTML5 up into website, and we go to website, and now I'm gonna unzip it here because that was whack. All right, so I'm gonna remove. Okay, so this is the unzipped. This is the entire site right here. And again, how do we first? Let's practice some of our commands. AWS S3 LS. What will this do? This will list our AWS buckets, so all of our AWS buckets, and we can see here that we do in fact have Horizons Data Academy on this list. And so what I can do is I can do AWS S3 sync. I want to sync all the stuff that I have right here. I want to sync it to S3 : Horizons .academy. And it's going to go stick that stuff up into S3. And now feast your eyes. If you all go to, in your web browser, if you head over to Horizons .academy in your browser. Oh, forbidden, but that's a good thing. Not a good thing. It's it is giving us S3 error. So it is, my computer, at least where I'm at, is able to properly route. So it is going here to, like, it knows, it was able to get a request for DNS response back. This is because I don't have the I don't think I have the permission, the bucket policy set up for this, which I do not. Let's see, S3 web hosting bucket policy. Let's grab it. I have to copy it every single time. Never gonna remember it. Never gonna try to remember it. I just know that I need to do this. And that's usually my go-to thing. People ask me, how do I go about learning things? I go about learning them by learning what something does, why it does it, maybe a little bit about how it does it, but I almost never focus any of my energy on remembering the specifics. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but I'll look up the specifics usually from what I'm doing. Normally I will simply I'll know what to do after I learn it the first time. I'll know, like, holistically what needs to happen. Most of the time, it doesn't always work. Most of the time it does work. And now if you go to Horizons.academy, now you will get a site that works for Horizons.academy. So now we have our own website for this course, okay? Yeah, we did it. That was my, I got angry there. It sounded like I got angry, but that was more so of my triumphant, like, yes, we did it. We made a website. All right. That was my triumphant win. And so what's also good to know is that with DNS, because we set up these things for subdomains and things, let's say I wanted to point, maybe, the same way that I have mastermind.io and www.mastermind.io goes to this website, but academy.mastermind.io goes to this website. You can point those at all kinds of different places. These subdomains, you kind of have infinite flexibility on where those things go. The subdomains can also be whatever you want them to be. That you don't have to register. Like, I didn't go register academy.mastermind.io. I own mastermind.io, which is the Apex domain, and you can add in all of the things that you want in front of that. But no buts right now. Just that you can do that. So let's say you grab your own domain. The reason why I really wanted to have something like this is because for Horizons in particular, and for pipelines, really for pipelines, but we can start to put different applications. We can start to put different tools that we can utilize at different subdomains. So maybe we'll have a help.horizons.academy, and maybe we'll have a resources.horizons.academy that we kind of build out just for fun. But owning it will give us the ability to kind of have some flexibility. But the way that we're going to do that, the way that we're going to tell people's computers where to go whenever they type in something at this domain, we're going to do that using Route 53 to set the proper DNS records. Also, if we want to start to accept mail or something like that, we can do it in here. It'll be interesting to set up a mail server. That might be a fun stream one day, because I mean, you can run and host your own mail server, and it is a valid option if you don't want to. The only use case that I would be willing to run this for right now is that if I had a company with I was early on and it had like 8 people. It had like 8 people, and I did not want to pay Google $6 for each of those 8 people per month. I mean, you get a lot of benefits with that, but I might do it then. I might, grab a $5 server and run my my SMTP server through that. But yeah, if I'm not understood correctly, is Cloud DNS giving as a domain pointing to our server's IP, and we pay for 1 million requests. Okay, so cloud, so DNS, DNS in AWS, DNS, from a cloud provider is no different than the DNS that has always existed. All DNS is really the same. The benefit that you get with this in particular is that you can more easily point stuff to your services inside of this. But yes, you pay. I think you pay 50 cents period for a hosted zone. So a hosted zone is simply the right now, just think of it as the domain that it manages. So each of these is an individual hosted zone. So they're all different websites, and this is the kind of section that hosts these domains. And basically you pay 50 cents to have a space to manage your DNS. And then you pay another 40 cents for up to 1 million, up to 1 million requests that are made. Not per each request is not 40 cents. You pay 40 cents for that block of 1 million requests to the DNS servers. This is not 1 million requests to your website. If someone makes 1 million requests to mastermind.io, that is not equivalent to 1 million DNS requests. Again, DNS gets cached locally. DNS gets cached at the edge. It gets cached at, different, authoritative name servers or different servers. And so 1 million requests through Amazon is what will, that block of 1 million does in fact cost you 40 cents. So yes, if DNS did no caching, yes, every million times a user typed into your domain, that would cost you 40 cents. But you are correct, and yes, it is. DNS is giving a domain pointing at your server's IP. That's exactly what it is. So I think you got it. I think you got it right on the nose. But I just want to confirm you noted Cloud DNS in there, and Cloud DNS isn't different than DNS is just DNS. Route 53 is just AWS's service for handling that, but you do understand that correctly. But a bad guy can clear his cache though. Correct. You can clear your own local caches. You can do a lot of stuff. Yeah, you can clear your own local DNS caches, and there are ways to manage it. If you're running your own, there are ways to do some. You're running your own name servers. There are ways to do some of that stuff as well. But you're not always at the whim. So even if we go back to, let's see now if those name servers are now propagating, because I'm so interested on how long that's taking. But even though it's fine here for me now, okay, all right, I don't, Gandhi.net, no problem. But now we're getting responses back, which is, I guess, a good thing. Some of them through AWS, some of them through Gandhi.net. But Gandhi.net feels like this is an AWS thing now, for some reason. But you can check on that. Not Danimal, also in taking the hosting and setting up a DNS earlier on this. Oh, dope. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Yeah, DNS. Hello, how you doing, Standard Air? Yes, setting up a DNS server. Man, I haven't had to manage a bind server in what year is 2020? I would say the last time I touched bind was probably 2014. So not 6 years is not crazy. Probably 2014 is probably the last time I had to do that. Again, the cloud has kind of the cloud's not always the answer, even though we're learning about the cloud right now. But it has made from someone who did a lot of these things the old way, it has made my life a lot easier. And if I don't have to do it, I probably won't. We do need to go buy I really like Recoded. I really like that a lot. We're gonna go buy that. Yep, no one set that up either. Let's see, let's do who is on Recoded. Domain not, oh yeah, there we go. Domain not found. It's purchasable, I believe. Yeah, domain not found. Recoded. We're gonna have to now change the name of Decoded to Recoded. 2 more. I'll buy it now. In 2 weeks, I'll make the announcement to not hurt anyone's feelings. But yeah, that's it. Like I said, tonight will be short. I said we would get out of here a little bit early. What are the tangible takeaways for tonight? The tangible takeaways, again, are that DNS stands for Domain Name Service, and it is basically how the internet runs as you know it, as we know it. It is it's the proverbial phone book for the internet. Is the way that your computer is able to look up the servers that a website or a domain is being hosted from. So when you type in the domain yahoo.com, your computer is able to translate that into an IP address, an internet protocol address that it can go to retrieve that information. We also learned that there are a couple of different records that allow you to point to specific information. We learned about A records, which are host records, which allow you to do, again, that mapping between a domain and an IP address, specifically an IPv4 address, an IP version 4 address. And again, if that is very confusing to you, write down, IPv4 and say, hey, maybe I should go look up IPv4. There's some really great videos about IPv4 versus IPv6 and all that stuff. You can feel free to check that stuff out. Not important, again, for kind of introductory cloud computing, but just good tech information to know, good internet, information to know. We learned about CNAME records, which is canonical names. This is that alias record where you can kind of point a domain at another domain. We learned about quad A records, so quadruple A records, which are just like the single A record, but for IPv6 mapping. So when you want to map a domain to an IP version 6 domain, that's how you do that. And yeah, I remember your question about that. So we'll answer that in a second. We learned about NS records, which allows you to set the kind of authoritative name server for your domain. So it allows you to set the place that's gonna hold and deliver the information about the DNS records that are available for your server. We learned about MX records, which allows you to set the mail servers where mail should be delivered to. I think those are the only records that we cover. Those are the important ones. The common ones, there are many more, which I've shared in the cheat sheet. We've updated the cheat sheet for that. We learned that the service that AWS offers to handle this and to allow you to be able to manage DNS is called Route 53. It is a managed, scalable DNS service inside of AWS. It allows you to do all the normal DNS stuff. But what it also allows you to do, which is one of the reasons why it's really nice, it is allows you to use point your records at aliases inside of AWS to different Amazon resources. So normally you would point these things at IP addresses or other domain names, and these alias records allow you to do some fancy stuff to point your domains and things at AWS resources rather than specific IP addresses, which is really nice. Inside of Route 53, you can also purchase domains. Another little good thing to know, they might ask you that on the exam, like can you purchase, or what service is used to purchase domains or something like that. Route 53 is where you can purchase domains. Yes, there are there are text records or PTR records. Not super important here. Again, these are not things that come up on kind of the exam. They're just other supporting records for they all do DNS is it's very interesting. I would look into it. I would look deeper into it if you're trying to do any type of hands-on decision making about if you're trying to do some solutions architecting or any type of engineering around the cloud. Highly recommend you dive into understanding DNS and the different types of records and kind of what they do, because they're pretty important, and it can get wild. I wish our DNS situation at my organization at the SBA is a very interesting one because of the way it needs to be set up for DNS security, and what we're allowed to manage. So we have an odd allocation of what we can. It's very interesting. And one day, like, I'm gonna find out what I can share, and I'll see if I can share it. It's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's just, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, and it gets a little bit messy. But yeah, that's all the tangible takeaways. There's an assignment to basically just go, again, your favorite websites, go grab the A records, go grab some records for it, post them in Slack, post them in Discord, and I want people to kind of hop in and grab some of those IP addresses and go to them and see if see if you guys have the same some of the same favorite websites, or maybe you'll find a really good website, really cool website that you did not know about. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work when you do that. Maybe you can find some ways to do reverse lookups and find out what domain and IP address belongs to. There's some interesting ways you can do that as well, if you want to go do that. But I would say just go have a little bit of fun with the information that you can grab and what can be given to you. What's up, Harry? Have I ever hacked anyone? No. Now, I'm not really a hacker. I've been hacked a lot because I usually don't care. I haven't been hacked a lot, but I keep myself real simple. But no, I have never hacked anybody ever. I was wondering how companies sell domain names. I mean, is there a way to go and get a domain name straight? Yes. So yes. Actually, let's talk about that a little bit. What do you mean by you've been hacked a lot? I've been hacked a lot. I say that I think I've been hacked a lot in that I generally don't I don't generally keep a lot of serious things on my computer, and so some people care about security a lot. I generally don't, because I have no problem that if this computer gets compromised, getting rid of it or not using it or blowing away the whole entire OS and starting over. Zero problem. The way that I compute, the way that I operate on computers, I probably haven't been hacked a lot, but accounts and things have been compromised for poor passwords and stuff like that. I'm a lot better at it now. I'm a lot better at it now. But there was a time when I would use the same password for literally everything. Times have changed though, so I haven't been like brute force, like network hacked a lot at all, but just throwing it out there. When our companies sell domains, is there any way to yes, so the companies that are allowed to sell domains, there are I forgot how it's chosen or how it's like set up, but let me see who is allowed to sell domains. I live my life so that I will not end up like Baltimore City. I like no one's ever gonna get any money from me for trying to ransomware hack me, because like, we have control of your computer, great. I'm about to reinstall the OS and you will no longer have control of my system. Now, maybe if the exploit's still open, they can take it again. I'll reinstall again. Not a problem. Not a problem for me. I'll switch OSs. I'll do whatever. But that's fine. Let's see. Let's sell domain names. There's like a, yeah, I don't know. I don't remember how, like, there's like a, I think ICANN helps with this and like something else. I don't know who's allowed to sell them. Yeah, I mean, yes, domain registrars. I don't really know the rules for who can become a domain registrar, like how to become domain registrar. I know they're like, And there's like an organization that allows people to become a domain. Yeah, so through ICANN, I know ICANN had something to do with it. I think you have to be pretty big. I think there's some, I don't know. There's something. There's something, I don't really know. But yes, it would be probably cheaper. Well, it wouldn't be cheaper because I think the process to doing this is pretty extensive. And again, I don't think you can just do it. And I also think there's a bunch of like legal things that can happen that you may not want to be responsible for, to be 100% honest. Because you do, as the registrar, you do have to be responsible for things like abuse and some other stuff. So I don't know. Yeah, it's really weird. Get back to the link since you just got, yeah. Exactly. Not really worried about it. Harry Rectum. I think you were just trying to get me to say your name. And so I you know, it's a good name. I get it. It's a really good name. It sounds like you're going to try to hack me. And, you know, have at it. Have a good time. Do what you got to do. But that's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I've never been like, oh man, they got my stuff. Like, you know, mostly the banks just suck. So they just give up your credit card information to whoever asks for it. Stuff like that, you know? What? Good evening. I've been in my first ever 18,000 plus viewer raid just now. That's pretty interesting. I don't know. That's cool, Mr. Syntax. 18,000 people is a lot of people. You know, we're just a modest channel over here. You know, never 18,000. So if you ever want to bring those 18,000 people over here, bring them. You know, tech is for everyone, and we're here to show everyone that tech is for everyone. Who'd you raid? Who'd you all raid? Where were you? Where are you part of 18,000? Who are you watching that had 18,000 viewers? First off, Austin show. I don't know what that is. Austin Evans. I don't know. I know about these YouTubers, but I don't really know about anything else. The Austin show. It's a talent show. Let's see. I want to see. I have talents. I don't know what they are, but I do. Can I just do this? Oh. Yes, I guess you would with 771K followers. Oh, first off, we made it to 4,000 followers. Thank you all. Seriously, that was fast, much faster than I expected. And I missed it. I thought it would be a little bit of time. Thank you. I appreciate all of you. I don't know. I don't think we announced that, but maybe we did. But we're all done for tonight. Nothing really else to talk about with DNS. Have at it. Have a little fun with it. And again, play around with Route 53 if you'd like. It's not a crazy big complicated service, to be 100% honest. So yeah. If you're interested in learning algorithms, we're doing part 2 of Introduction to Algorithms on Decoded tomorrow. We'll be back on Wednesday here with Systems Manager, with CloudWatch Systems Manager, and a rundown of billing and kind of billing best practices and some how you can get certain information, which is pretty dope. Surprisingly, it's much more interesting than it sounds. The paradigms they have around that. And then we'll be doing test-driven development on Thursday in Decoded. So if you've ever been interested about that, come out and check that. And then on Saturday again is the live Coders Conf. I will be speaking at 12:25, 12:30 to 12:55. One of those, 12:25 or 12:30. I'll be speaking again. I'm going to be talking about DevOps real quick. It's going to be a very fun talk. At least I think it's a very fun short talk about DevOps. We're going to do it live. We're going to do an entire DevOps pipeline live in 25 minutes. But it's also the movie trailer edition. So people who don't know anything about DevOps, you're going to learn what DevOps is again through movie trailers. You're going to learn all about the tenets of DevOps through movie trailers. It's going to be fun. I hope. Hopefully, I actually need to go practice it in a little bit. I think it's fun little idea. Either it'll be great or it'll be stupid, but either way, we'll have tried. But I think it'll be fun. So if you're interested in any of that, check that out. Again, sorry, Pipeline's done. The information about pipelines for anyone interested. I'm working on solidifying that as soon as possible on how that's going to continue. I don't even want to say continue because it makes it sound like it's like, oh, it's gone, never coming back. How it's going to continue right now is kind of what we're trying to figure out. But that's it. So who are we rating tonight? Who are we, taking over our 18,000 people to? Let's let's see. You know what? Incarnate. Do I remember who this is? I don't remember who this is. Let's browse the section really quick. Let's check out, no, not Prime. I just want to click on Science and Tech. There we go. Let's see who's on. Let's go say hi to someone or somebody. Portuguese, learning Blender. We just talked about Blender a little bit. That's loud. Didn't realize I was playing. We just talked about Blender a little bit, so maybe this person just is building a new PC. That's cool. Study with me and your cats. I don't know what you're studying. But it's a rerun, so we're not gonna head over there. What do we have in here? Sorry, I found the channel, by the way. What job are you doing for leaving? So what are you doing? I mean, are you asking? So when I leave my current position, so right now I'm a DevOps engineer. I'm a technical lead and DevOps engineer for a company called Fearless in Baltimore. When I leave, I'm going to be doing Mastermind full time. So Mastermind is this is Mastermind Academy, which I'll always be here doing. It's going to be a huge part of the business. It's going to be something that is going to be hopefully much bigger than this as we kind of grow, and a little more structured for some things. We'll definitely have a lot of unstructured things, but the academy piece of it will get the boot camps will get much more structured. Like, again, the goal is actually deliver those boot camps that are out there. I don't know if I'm allowed to name drop boot camps and stuff, but to deliver the very similar, if not better experience than they deliver, with the materials and with everything, but in different disciplines, and all the disciplines that support the software development lifecycle. But Mastermind also is an engineering talent management company, so I do placements as well. So we're recruiters. We are, but we're recruiters who really do understand what it is that the intricacies of what is it, so we don't, I'm never going to be pressed about, oh, you need to have 5 years of Python on here. You don't have 5 years of Python, I'm throwing your name out. No, we'll be able to advocate for people. And the goal is to really do a lot of advocacy with companies to help them start to take on more junior engineers. Is one of the biggest things we're going to be doing. But just helping people find cool places to work. I know there's a negative connotation to as engineers start to get in the the mid-level in their career and up, people tend to have a negative connotation of recruiters for a number of reasons. I have my gripes, and the goal is to fix all of those things and to really just help people along their journey. As well as some corporate training. I'm actually working with a company right now to kind of help them understand the intricacies of software development. Again, this is something that I've done for a long time, and kind of understanding how it is that you truly do, how you really do deliver software effectively, and kind of what are the pieces that allow that. And you'd be surprised at how many companies don't understand that, they make software, but they don't understand how to do it effectively, and it's been really detrimental to their businesses. So that is something that we'll be doing. Tech recruiting, it's broken and messy. It really is. Yes, 100% Sin City. That's like the number 2 thing in the pipeline right now, are these mock interviews. Another big thing is actually trying to solidify right now is working with companies, finding companies who need R&D projects and doing those. Again, it's hard for people to get experience or to like put into context all the things that you learn. It's hard to put that stuff into context until you work somewhere, but trying to get real world R&D projects that companies will let us work on stream, and building those as if we were working together at a company. And so some of them will kind of do a little lottery and pick out people to actually, a team of people that can follow along, even if it's months long, to do a project. Other things will be kind of us leading along and be open source, maybe not open source, but it can be contributed to, so that people can go through the real actual development of real world tools and projects that are going to be used real time to help augment experience, because that can be really tough. That's one of the toughest things ever. But mock interviews is like, because that's going to be a relatively low bar to kind of get done, is 100% mock interviews will be here. That's another reason why at the end of every single one of these boot camps, if anyone didn't know, next week there will be 2 engineering panels. On Wednesday and Thursday there will be an engineering panel where you can kind of come ask some questions to engineers. Again, one will be catered towards software engineers, the other one will be catered towards cloud engineers and people in the cloud computing. So you can absolutely check that out. Those are usually pretty popular, so come in, ask your questions. I may open up the questions early in Slack. Keep an eye out on a message in general, because we may curate some of those things so that we so we can start gathering information and kind of consolidating questions. So I think it might be a little bit easier to manage, since there are a few more people on the stream now than there were the last time around. But that's it. Consulting as a tech advisor for companies to install software correctly in the future, kinda for a little bit, as well as really working with companies through digital transformations in the beginning. The goal is to, in the beginning, we'll be doing consulting. I'll be like me and someone else will be doing consulting in the beginning, to kind of keep, gotta bring in money as we're kind of building up the other pieces. But the goal is not to do that for that will not be a core part of the business. Consulting will not be a core part of the business in the future. People are always like, oh really? Like, yeah, it will not be. But yeah, I'm actually kind of excited because some opportunities are presented themselves. And right now I'm not running a big company, and it's really just me that I need to worry about, me and my family that I need to worry about right now. And I have some interesting opportunities with companies again who are also interested in supporting a pipeline of engineers who are supporting the things that we're doing here on the channel. So that's been pretty interesting. I hope to have some good information for you all pretty soon about all those things. But yeah, we're just, I can't tell you how, as much as I love Fearless, has been the best place in the world for me, like literally a life-changing company for me. But at the same time, this is where my heart lies, and I can't wait. We'll put the countdown up as soon as I make my official announcement. But I kind of can't wait to be able to work on this stuff, put all my energy into this, and I don't know. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time. I think it's gonna be a good time. Walking to work, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be in the same building with everyone. And the work management. Feel free. When if things go well, absolutely, everyone come on over. I'll hire everybody. And maybe that'll be a way to do, also to help people get some experience with those short-term projects. I think I'm gonna put out a poll. If I remember to put out the poll, I need to put it on the side. I had a wild idea about working on those same projects, those companies wanting to do R&D projects that would allow us to stream it. I think it'll be interesting to get 4 or 5 people, to where really you're training the 4 or 5 people, like an in-person boot camp where you're training them, but the whole thing is streamed, so everyone will be learning, everyone will have the same access to the same education. But to watch 4 or 5 people be the drivers of a project, kind of from scratch, I think will be very interesting, like a show, like a real show. I think will be pretty interesting. But yeah, I got a lot of stuff. How are opportunities in machine learning and natural language processing? That's a great question. AI, the opportunities are extensive and extremely lucrative. The problem is, I'm not finding that many of them are entry level, or not even entry level, but like it seems like you kind of got to be real good to get into them because they're so lucrative, and everyone's looking for, the implications of machine learning and AI can be pretty serious, so people are looking for people who are experts, but there are a growing number of opportunities. Like, there are already a good amount, but it's growing daily. It's pretty impressive in how fast it's growing, and it's absolutely something that I'm going to be diving into as we kind of go along. all DevOps jobs are senior positions. That's like, it's kind of the same thing. It's a very similar paradigm. Not senior positions, but not not junior positions for sure. Yeah. So yeah, but I've been seeing a number of them, honestly, paying again a ton. I actually, because I'm now in the technically in the recruiting space as well, I've had some people I've partnered with reach out to me about that, like, hey, we have this thing, and they're looking to pay $400,000, $450, and like, I'm like, what? Why did I not do this? Like that sounds amazing. I don't even know what I would do. I have no idea what I would do with a salary of $400,000 a year. But again, I'm a simple man, you know. You give me a cheap, fast car and, you know, a little bit of food, and I'm good to go. You know, I'm okay. But yeah, it's pretty wild out there, actually. All right, I do gotta get out of here. I have one more important thing I need to do to get ready for some stuff this week. All right, we're gonna head straight over to combat system state machine. That sounds complicated. Let's head over to, let's just pick someone. Let me refresh, actually. Let me give everyone a chance. Just Machine, thank you very much as well. Let's go down a little bit. CSG learn. Not the C's tough. All right, I'm struggling, so we are going over to Prime. You know, it's just always a safe space. Always a safe space. So let's head over to Prime now. And I will definitely stick around for Prime. So let's raid the I'm never gonna remember it. Prime Hagen. There we go. All right, everyone. Have an excellent night. Well, that's spelled wrong. Hold on, fix it before I hit enter. All right, we're out of here until 987654321. Everyone, I'll see you tomorrow for Decoded. If not, I'll see you back here on Wednesday. Now that you know all about DNS, have a great night. Go do some looking up and have a little bit of fun.